AI is a tool, right? It's at everyone's disposal, more or less, right? With free versions. I think in terms of accessibility now, ChatGPT, right? I think $20 a month.
A bigger focus is going to be towards ChatGPT and these LLMs and how we as marketers can put our clients first for those answers, or in the best position to be first. And then you always have the curveball. You never know, like ChatGPT could turn on ads.
Hi everyone, welcome to our YouTube channel with Flying V Group. I'm Miranda Cash. I'm the growth strategist here at Flying V Group. I've been with them for a year now, and we're here with Robb Fahrion and Brennan Smith. Robb is our CEO and co-founder, as well as Brennan is the CRO and co-founder as well. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves and just give a little bit of a background of who you are, Flying V Group, how it started, the vision behind it all?
Yeah, sure. I can start real quick, Miranda. My name is Robb Fahrion. To anyone out there watching that doesn't know who Brennan and I are, a co-founder, partner more than anything, I think. I'm with Brennan back to 2016, serve currently in CEO capacity, overseeing a variety of different functions within the organization. We've really expanded. Business has changed, adapted over the years, all within kind of the bounds of digital marketing, advertising, but really I think the core of it, helping our clients solve problems, right, that they encounter through social media, website, lead generation, now rolling into AI, automation, IT in a lot of ways too. So yeah, really happy to be doing this. Thanks for having me. And yeah, Brennan, would love for you to intro yourself as well.
Yeah, Brennan Smith, co-founder of Flying V Group, sit as CRO right now. I think when Robb and I kind of got together, and it was more so like, hey, how can we help businesses, right? It was never like, what can we do to make a buck? It's more so, how can we leverage our skill sets to help other businesses? And that's where we've always strived to be that pseudo white glove digital marketing arm for a lot of different industries. And we never decided to niche down, but we noticed, digital marketing applies to so many different verticals. And that's how we kind of built the company, was being that marketing arm for businesses. And as Robb has mentioned, the skill set and the offering has changed throughout the years, so has technology, but it still is that same core principle of transparency, data-driven, and client-first, client-focused agency. Never with the goal to have 5,000 plus clients, but very much so a collective group of partners rather than clients that we want to grow with. So excited to see where we can kind of take this today as well as future ones, and looking forward to diving into it.
So Flying V Group has been here since 2015. And now, because with the rise of AI and how things are changing, I know Flying V Group has SEO and GEO. We implement a lot of different AI tools within our work, all with a human touch. Can you guys talk more about how Flying V Group is utilizing AI within the organization? And maybe Robb, you can start off.
Sure. I think you nailed the most important factor, is that AI is a tool, right? It's at everyone's disposal, more or less, right? With free versions. I think in terms of accessibility now, ChatGPT, right? I think $20 a month, right? But it's a tool for humans to use, right? So I think the most critical thing is understanding that, okay, we want to be able to leverage these tools, help us to move quicker, more efficiently, more effectively. But at the end of the day, right, we still need to be looking at what are the outputs of these AI tools, right? So you better believe it. Yes, we're leveraging it to understand data from our client ad accounts faster. We're using it to automate workflow processes or find gaps in which we can eliminate steps to move information faster. We're using it to just create content faster. We've done some really crazy AI videos, right, that are just prompted, and you would think they were shot, right, with a $10,000 production budget. So we're using AI to test creative faster and see which messages are moving the needle one way or the other. But I think, again, responsibility lies with us too. We can use it in those ways, but also we need to make sure that, hey, it is giving truthful data. We are backing it up. We are validating it based on what the market is saying. Or again, we're just using it to move things faster a lot of times, I think. And in the marketing and advertising game, I mean, speed is definitely a competitive advantage.
Yeah.
To that point, I would say some people see it in a negative context as a disruptor, but we utilize it more so as an amplifier to amplify our clients' results, get them to that end result faster, because we're literally in the game of optimizing data. The faster we can get that data back, the faster we can create that result, whether good or bad, allows us to move and manipulate our next step faster. I think one of the bigger points that Robb touched on here is the validation factor, right? This is a new, although it's been around for a good amount of time already, it is very new. And there is a lot of things that where AI can hallucinate and give you a wrong answer or a not, justified answer, where that's where it's not like we're just turning AI on and Flying V Group AI is running right now. There's very much so interwovenness between how we utilize it, how we consult our clients to utilize it. And I think the power in AI is not that it's going to disrupt jobs or industries, but it's in the power is in how can people in those industries utilize AI versus it replacing those industries.
Yeah. And with also Flying V Group being in such a fast-paced industry, such as marketing, what's the hardest part of running a marketing agency?
Well, there's a lot there. I would say
don't take all. Well, yeah, we could talk all day. So yeah, take as many as you want.
There's a lot, right? There's a lot of different factors in terms of, just your normal operations from running a business, right? And then you have the client side factor. And then you have, I would say, which is the hardest part, is the market factoring to every different client in every different way, right? The fact that Robb and I decided specifically not to go down one niche, we apply to medical industry, to real estate, to mobility, to so many different types of businesses. And those, especially in today's world, those businesses and industries can get affected by the drop of one new bill or one new speech or executive order. You just don't know. And so it's not difficult, but I think it more so makes it exciting for us, but it is difficult in terms of how are we helping our clients the most when we know that they're going through that pain point. We know that's going to trickle down to their marketing efforts. So more so trying to be ahead of any type of curveball thrown our clients' way, let alone our own, which I would say is the most difficult, but I do think we have a very good pulse within the various markets that we're in. But it's an ever-changing world, especially with the current climate that we're in. So I would say that would probably be one of the difficult parts.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think you have to be quick, right, to move in the same way that being fast for our clients is an advantage. We have to be fast to adapt, because depending on what Meta does, what Google does, ChatGPT didn't exist 2 years ago, and now it's the one service that everybody wants to talk about more than anything, right? So all of a sudden we have to basically provide a new service, or we just continue doing what we're doing, but like everyone knows how that ends up, right? When you keep doing that and expecting different results with as fast as everything has been changing. So I think for us, the key is really being flexible, nimble, but then also focusing on what our true value is, which really is our team, right? I think like agencies have kind of got caught in, oh, we're experts in SEO or websites or social media or paid media, right? And so all of a sudden you had all these silos, all these different experts. Well, now AI has just, and we've talked about this internally, Miranda, right? Like AI has broke down all those walls to where all these platforms need to be chatting from one to the next to the next. And I think like our ability to communicate as a team with also structure, right, has allowed us to just quickly say, okay, we need to be geo experts now. Great. We're going to be geo experts, right? And we weren't yesterday. And so that's both difficult, but that's, I think, what we've become comfortable doing. That has also given us a competitive advantage, right, for our clients, in that we're not just going to sit there and keep doing the same thing, right? If something new comes on board, we want to look at it from every angle, consider it, shift budget, diversify risk, right? That's a lot of what marketing is like diversifying your risk across these different marketing channels to where if one thing does happen, it doesn't just implode your entire pipeline of new business or growth efforts or whatever it may be, right? that is impacting the business, the growth of the business, and the future outlook, or whatever they're trying to accomplish at that particular time.
Yeah, I would say to add on to that, it's not only like what I said in the beginning in terms of managing the markets that our clients are in, but you also have to consider the fact that we're playing in multiple different playgrounds that aren't controlled by us, right? Meta has their own rules, Google has their own rules, LinkedIn has its own rules, TikTok. I mean, you go down the list and it's not all uniform, right? Some things they allow, some things they don't. But we're in a world where the human attention span is so short, right? And we're trying to grab those split seconds of someone in that ideal persona's attention to then make that KPI, that form submission, that phone call. And that's where, to Robb's point, is utilizing all that data cross-platform to get it to speak to each other. And an omni-channel approach is where we're seeing it be most effective now. And then just how we navigate that data pass is probably the most difficult thing, but the thing that, when done correctly, we've seen the greatest results from for our clients.
Yeah, great point. Because like data path, right? And just how you're connecting, tying things off, right? Tracking is critical, but it's like you're trying to basically like put water into paths, right? With straw, like toothpicks, right? Like it sounds crazy, but you know, when you think about data, it's just this, you know, it's numbers in the air and the internet, and right. But I mean, that is what we're trying to do, is we're trying to flow that source of traffic and data, you know, through these connections that are connections, again, that, you know, can be hard to comprehend sometimes at the real root of what it is we're doing when you peel back the layers on, quote, marketing, right? So I always laugh when people ask us like what we do.
Yeah, and I think everyone at Flying V Group too brings something different to the table, whether it's like the different services that we do and the dynamic between both of you guys as well. You both are obviously different people who have different things that you like to do. Can you guys explain the dynamic between both of you guys as founders and how and why it works?
Well, I guess I can take a stab at this. I would say, well, from the beginning, Robb has been very much so data oriented in terms of he was very much so on the PPC side from an expert from like day one, right? And I was very much so social ads expert, right? Visual selling, data driven selling. But I think we balance each other very well in the aspect of we're not afraid to hear each other out, no matter how wrong we think the other one may be, because at the end of the day, there's probably some good in there. A good job in terms of at the end of the day, we come together with one solid goal being improving our clients' lives, whether that's from an ROI perspective or we alleviated their pain of having to deal with marketing. That's always been our goal. We never wanted to be this 5,000 client, cash cow churn of 300 clients every month. It's always has been client first, client first, client first. And the reason being, in which I think Robb and I share the goal here of this company, is because we literally built it off of the horror stories of people coming to us, getting screwed over by bad actors in the industry. Because a lot of marketing, what you don't know is what you don't know, right? It's either it's SEO and there's a guy that maybe has been doing it for 2 years for someone, and we take a look and we go, the guy hasn't even logged into the website in 8 months, right? Or they're getting charged 10 grand to do PPC ads, and Robb logged in and they've spent 4 and they're pocketing 6, right? Because there's so many just bad actors with how easy the barrier of entry into digital marketing is. But then there's a huge difference between doing it right and then doing it. And I think, whether we started out in different sectors, we've come together in a way where it's very much complementary. And Robb and I would have probably the same conversation with a client if they had one with just him or just me, because the whole goal would not be try and sell them everything in our Rolodex. It would be, let's look at what makes sense from an ROI perspective for the client, and then that's what we'll go forward with. I think I mentioned this on every discovery call, is I never recommend anything on a discovery call. I want to hear what your problems are. What are your goals, right? Let's go run audits and base it off the data. And that's where I think Robb and I share a lot of that similarity in terms of client focus, transparency, a lot of the core things that we've built this company off of.
Yeah, I think Brennan nailed it. Like, we're both passionate, right? I think at the end of the day, like, we both do care, probably sometimes even too much in certain instances, right? Because we're competitive, right? We like to win. We've been brought up and trained, I think, too, in similar ways of like, there are just right ways to do things and wrong ways to do things, and that's some of the stuff we try. And, we don't always get it right. We mess up a lot, right? We've been fired a lot, right? But it's like, hey, striving to get it right as consistent and as often over and over. And it starts with the little things. Brennan and I have talked about how we met and through coaching and football and it was always about the little things. It really was, right? We never had the biggest players, the strongest guys, the fastest, the most. It was always, we just did the little things well. And so I think that's a lot of the same characteristics we want to take into our business. And then, it's about, for me, more than anything, like there's a lot of ways to make money, right? They're entrepreneurs or get a bad rap. I think a lot of times of like, oh, there's money, right? I think what happens is it's like a byproduct of doing good work and caring is what ends up happening. So like now we're in this position of like, yes, we need to make money, feed our families, be successful in that regard. Sure. But we also want to do it and create that opportunity with the right people too. So not only the people that work with us, for us, but also the clients too. So that's where now our mentality has also started to shift. And I think we're aligned here of like, we're looking for partners. We're looking for long-term, right? We're looking for people that already value the fact that we've been in what is a extremely competitive, difficult, grinding, a lot of times not very fun space. And yet we're still here. We have a strong list of clientele Rolodex, right? And we want to continue to evolve, improve, create opportunity for more people to provide those same services to more people, right? And in an AI driven age, I think that's what's most critical nowadays is who you're winning with, who you're working with. I think that's why we align well.
Yeah, and I think also, like, especially big corporations, they don't really value honesty, transparency. And what we're doing is we're sending out analytic reports every month showing you the ins and out of what we're doing as well. So I think also just valuing integrity, honesty, and being transparent as well takes us a long way. And then also people that are coming in with their businesses and they're excited about it and they're having like so much fun with what they're doing. Obviously there's challenges, but that spark also we take into account, and then now we have that spark and we're able to help them and be a part of something bigger.
Yeah, and I think it's our responsibility as an agency too, right, to make sure that there's alignment, right? That both sides, parties, I think so that's what's becoming more important nowadays. It's not about what you're doing, right? It's who are you doing it with? Are we aligned on the same page, both wanting the same outcomes, right? Because I think a lot of times you've seen that, a founder, and it's sad, gung-ho, ready to go, get paired up with the wrong group, right? And, hey, it's happened with us too, right? Like bad timing or just we were, early and had to learn the hard way, right? Obviously we're minimizing, we want 0% churn. That is our goal, 0%, right? But it does, and that's deflating, right? Or that can sometimes be the big setback or the one that, does them in, so those are things that we take very seriously too, right? Like you're talking about people's livelihoods are at stake. And so, and it's our names behind this stuff, right? In terms of the quality of support we provide.
Yeah. And we have started also in Orange County, and we have done a lot of work in Orange County as well. Can I hear where you guys were from and then how you guys came to Orange County, or how Flying V Group is now in Newport Beach?
Yeah, well, I was born in actually Sacramento, California. Lived up there for about 7 months. I don't remember any of it, but I spent the majority of my life in San Clemente, California, so Southern Orange County. And I've always been Southern Orange County, not born and raised, but raised, and that's where I've spent my whole time. Ended up going to school in a high school called St. Margaret's, and that's where a coach called Harry Welsh kind of taught a lot of the stuff that Robb and I are implementing in this business. It's just doing the little things right, not having your toe on the line or showing up early, 5 minutes early or 10 minutes late. You could have a bunch of those different sayings, and that's where I ended up meeting Robb my senior year. He came over as a football coach. I was a quarterback, he was a quarterback's coach, and that's where we originally had met. I'll kind of let Robb tell his story of how he got there, but that's kind of where we crossed paths.
Yeah, so I was born Orange County, but similar to Brennan, moved out of Orange County pretty early, not too far, but just to Temecula area. Grew up out there, both my parents born and raised Orange County, actually. Yeah, they've been here their whole lives. And then ended up moving back in for college. Just went to Chapman University in Orange. Yeah, that's another conversation. Didn't really understand college much. Neither of my parents went. So just was like, okay, that's cool school, close, nearby. Was definitely a homebody for sure. And part of it was that I had started coaching football and was actually doing it at my alma mater, high school. My brother was still there, Tyler, our other partner. So I was already at the games, kind of helping out type of deal. And then wanted to keep coaching. And yeah, I mean, honestly, Brennan, I don't know if I've told you, I applied to, I don't know, maybe 5-10 different schools out in Orange County area. And St. Margaret's, I'm not kidding, was the only school that replied. And I think they must have been desperate if they were replying to me at that point, right? But for me too, like, I was familiar with St. Margaret's because we had a similar size high school. And like St. Margaret's for me was like the pinnacle program, right? Like they had won, Brennan, quarterback 3 straight, 4 straight, CIF title, state champion. I mean, you name it, right? And so when they responded, it was like, hey, it wasn't about the 9 losses that mattered, right? I was like, wow, the one that for me was actually the most important was who got back to me. Boom, drove over the Ortega. I was still living in Temecula, went to the interview, sat with the coach, and they got back to me, and then met Brennan maybe a week later. I was probably 21. Brennan, you were what, senior? So you're a few years younger, 17, 18, right? When we first met, Brennan showed me a lot of the ropes too, because he had been in that program and kind of, honestly, I mean, he had a lot of that training that I didn't have, I think, as a high schooler. So it was cool. It's like to be able to see like, okay, I was similar guy, and yet here's this team collectively being able to just dominate together, right? And collectively. So I think that's a big thing of what we do too, is just collective team unit, right, is key. No single one of us, like this company, anything we do, no single project that we do can be done by one person, right, at Flying V Group. So
okay, and now that, like, since you guys started in 2015, looking back at Flying V Group, what would you do differently now?
That's a good question. Gosh, I can take so it's like you're always like, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, I feel like a lot of times, right? Because like early on, and Brennan and I talked about this, people would say like, hey, you kind of need to find your lane, right? Or like you need to niche. But like we were having real conversations with business owners, and like the problems, even if it was the same business, were always generally different, right? And so now with that being said, I think the way we ended up building by not niching was a lot harder and longer and a tougher road, and is still very difficult, because now, those siloed agencies I talked about earlier, we've basically built all of those underneath one roof, or as much of that as possible. It is beneficial, right? But I think maybe early on, it's like, hey, if we would have focused, one particular service or two, I think that's what Brennan does really well, going back to the balance is, I have a lot of ideas, Miranda, this, and sometimes it's like, hey, Brennan's good at grounding me and saying, hey, let's step 1, step 2, right? Let's focus on this. Let's dial this in. Let's get this going, right? And then we'll move to the next. So honestly, like, I don't think I would do anything differently. And I know that may be cliche, but I think for me, nothing's perfect. It more is about how you respond individually, right, to the scenario. And so I think, looking back, probably could have made better decisions, but now it's like, hey, I learned from it, and everything moving forward, right? It's like, what can we control now? So little chicken and egg, and then just a big believer of failure. And I think we align on that across the board in everything we do here. So, but Brennan would, love to hear your thoughts.
I would align with kind of what you said in terms of, I wouldn't have wanted to focus on one niche, but maybe 5, right? Which I think is kind of where we're slowly getting to anyways as a business. But at the same time, over the last almost 10 years, we've become 75 to 80% experts in so many different industries and companies, from fertility to windshield repair to you name it, right? And that's where it's been a fun run and a very interesting one, but you also we're able to see where we can make the biggest benefit for the client, I think, too. Because at the same time, to Robb's point and me trying to focus him in, digital marketing does apply to everyone. It applies to every single aspect of any industry nowadays. Love it or hate it, COVID has forced a lot of industries digitally forward 10 plus, 15 plus years that probably would have been meeting at local diner for handshake businesses, not even thinking about doing webinars or Zoom calls. So I think it's been a very interesting path. We've learned a lot, and I think we're definitely finding where we can be the most beneficial as well as dangerous in a good way for our clients in those industries that do decide to apply digital, because there is still, a lot of industries where you have 2 or 3 players that are doing it and doing it very well and controlling a huge untapped market that they are still not even focusing on, which is where we're finding it interesting. And I always keep trying to rile Rob back, like, hey, let's stick to these ones. I know that, waste and recycling has this, and that, but then we've now have that as one of our core industries now is, hey, we're going to go after debris boxes and all these other things because no one else is doing it in the industry. And thousands of people are looking daily online for that, right? I mean, it's just where the consumer's gone nowadays. So I wouldn't have changed anything. I would have said maybe we would have focused a little bit more on a couple of niches. That would have made our lives probably easier versus, I mean, there are so many industries that I can name that I look back and go, wow, we did that.
Yeah. I think I've learned too, and give ourselves a little bit of grace, right? I mean, you go back to 2015, 2016, not to date myself, but 25, 26 years old, right? Brennan's a couple years older than I am, like right out of college, basically getting into a service.
Younger.
Yeah, younger. Yeah. Brennan's younger than me. And getting into industries too, where it's like finance, wealth management, lawyers, real estate agents, right? Like just a lot of stuff where we were getting doors shut in our faces, and then COVID, right? There's no playbook. We're selling air a lot of times, like I'm talking about. I use that as a joke, like SEO, like, yeah, we might increase your website traffic by X amount over. Well, it took 5-10 years of us proving that we could be able to do that, right? For people to be like, okay, I will actually trust. It just took a lot of time and a lot of setbacks. And then COVID again, uncertainty. We've built a global team, right? Like global infrastructure. So I think too, I give ourselves a lot of grace. Like we've made a ton of mistakes, right? Like, I mean, just you could endless, right? But like, there's no playbook. Like I think where we're at, we're really excited about where we're going, which is the best part too, right? It's like, wow, through all of that, the battle, it's like, dang, let's go, right? Here we are. We think we're on the cusp of something good because there's not a lot else out there we're seeing, right? Like these clients, we're talking to them, they're saying, help us. We have so many problems. We don't know what to do. There's too many channels, right? We don't know how to source the data, and we've kind of found those consistent things that need to be done because we know they need to be done regardless of what your business does.
And I think what makes our team so well is because we're constantly learning because of all these different types of industries. It makes us so like multifaceted and dynamic too. We're constantly learning about industry trends. We're constantly learning about different industries. So
yeah, Miranda, I mean, obviously, yeah, you've been working with us for a while, would be curious on your side too, right? Like, because I know you probably, when we first started talking, it's like, hey, it's fast paced, got to throw you right in, right? But I think you've kind of seen that, right? Is like, hey, that really is the valuable component of the service we provide to the client is the ability to figure it out and get it done.
Yeah, like I didn't think that I would be knowing as much as I do about men's fertility. That's not something that I would have thought.
That's a sidebar for a separate podcast. We'll have to pull in Dr. Turek for sure.
Client related.
Yeah. Client story for sure.
Yeah, but it's interesting because you learn about things that you wouldn't normally think that you would care to learn about, really.
Sure.
And I could tell you more about male fertility than women's fertility. Mm-hmm. And I think that's also, I'm looking at like the press releases that clients send us. I'm like subscribed to newsletters even AI newsletters like Last Week in AI, Tech Brew, listening to podcasts, and constantly educating myself on the different industries that I'm working in, and then, applying everything that I know to better help that business.
Nice.
Yeah, I would say to my earlier points is we're playing in other people's playgrounds too, right? And we don't control it, right? So that's why we're always having to learn, is because it's always changing, right? Google is valuing something, backlinks 2 years ago to content nowadays, right? Meta used to not allow cannabis. Now it's public and you can kind of get away on certain way. There's so many different things that constantly change, whether it's outside of digital marketing that then digital marketing catches up to, or it's just trends within how the human reacts to certain devices. So that's why I like that we're always adapting and flexible.
And I think our approach to like forward thinking, right? We're not, the reason we're reporting is because we're reporting to look for trends, right? We're looking last month over this month, 3 month versus prior 3 month, year over year data and information, right? And then, okay, do we have any insight to kind of know and understand what might happen? And so that's the big thing for us too, partnership wise, is like the longer we get out and the longer we're engaged with clients, right? The multiple on the investment that they make, not only in us, but all of these other platforms, right, just becomes exponential because, that's how this tech AI boom is working, right? It's becoming a exponential information gain, traffic, view, visibility, online website leads, relationship equity now, Miranda, events, right? You've seen, in what is an AI world, it's like, it's still people, I've harped on people quite a bit, right? It's the team doing the work, knowing how to work within these systems, right? So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. And to end off this discussion, now that we're at the end of this year going into next year, what do you guys think marketing is going to look like within the AI boom and now that it's scaling for next year?
I'll start. Well, Brennan, I kind of want you to go first. Like, my answer is kind of boring. Yeah.
Well, I think there's going to be a bigger play to outside of the standard guards. And by that, I mean, you have your Meta, which is obviously Facebook and Instagram. You have your TikTok ads, you have your Google paid. I think there's going to be a bigger play towards actually programmatic and this out of home movement. You even see, if you have the streaming services, certain ads pop up, you can click to it and purchase directly on Amazon on your TV nowadays, right? I think e-commerce is in for a big shift towards that. But I also do think there's going to be a much larger shift than what we're already seeing towards the utilization globally of ChatGPT as an end-all be-all service provider. So by that, I mean, it's very strong with the younger demographic right now, but what we're seeing even right now is someone going down a 5 to 7 question and answer prompt with ChatGPT and it spits out, let's say, 3 answers. They go to the first answer and they never go back. Whereas 8 months ago, someone's going on Google, they're seeing multiple options and they're doing the research and then they're clicking. People aren't going backwards because the backwards is just to ChatGPT, whereas backwards it used to be the browser with all the other options. I see a bigger play for how we can help. And I know we've mentioned GEO throughout this call. So for everyone who doesn't understand that, that's generative engine optimization, and SEO is search engine optimization. So that's how we can manipulate these LLMs. I would say a bigger focus is going to be towards ChatGPT and these LLMs and how we as marketers can put our clients first for those answers, or in the best position to be first. And then you always have the curveball. You never know. Like ChatGPT could turn on ads. I think it goes completely against their whole entire business model being direct information source. But then you look at Google and that's what they did, right? So there could be a whole new platform born from a paid media perspective too. But from an e-commerce perspective, I think direct to consumer, right to your TV nowadays is going to be huge. I think they're going to try and get from your phone. And if you can't convert them there, hop onto their TV with that same exact pitch or a vision grab there. And then from an information database, I think ChatGPT is going to exponentially become a bigger resource.
Yeah, I even heard Elon, talking about like elimination of just the smartphone. I think it was him. And then I was thinking about it like with Amazon Prime and they run Thursday Night Football. So that's the only reason I ever watch Prime. And so I'm on there, but literally the ads are for a product. Boom, with my Apple TV. I don't even need my phone, right? Like it's sitting in wherever. And I'm like, wait, okay, so I think Brennan nails that. Yeah, I'm still inbound SEO, geo, right? As Brennan mentioned as well. I just think the LLMs, whether it is, I don't know, ChatGPT it's craziness what they're saying right now, in my opinion, the numbers that they're putting out and what OpenAI is trying to roll out. We'll see what happens. But that's where, yeah, to do some of those things, I mean, where's this money going to come from? To Brennan's point. So if that happens, that changes everything at the same time. Google by no means is turning off, their efforts in generative AI and whatnot. So yeah, I just think it's going to be an interesting play, and we're focused, which is nice, on a lot of the same things we've always been focused on, right? Like high quality content, matching user intent queries, but even more so with AI, it's all about subject matter experts even more. So our quality on relationships is we want to be working with the experts, not just some random person, right? Like we want to be working with the best of the best because we know that's what's going to play in an AI driven world. And then a lot of what we're doing, repurposing content, right? Understanding the signals that these generative engines are using to come up with these answers, or how they're researching the data and information. Yeah, we're really excited about that stuff. We'll have to have Sean on for a follow-up just about what he's doing there. And we're rolling out some courses too for everybody to stay tuned on, just with this ChatGPT, Claude, who knows, to Brennan's point. So stay tuned, but we're going to keep doing the same thing, right? High quality, good content, distributing it on high premium priority platforms where our customers' audiences are. Isn't that marketing, right?
And I think another thing to bring up too is automations. I think that like even with Miranda AI, they do a really good job of, setting the automations to where they're doing the tasks for you that you don't have to worry about. And then I think too, you brought up, Rob, like a device that Elon Musk was talking about. I know that Sam Altman from OpenAI was also developing a device as well that was going to be like a third type of device that you would have rather than like a desktop or a phone. But yeah, there's like so many different things in AI that's going on, and it's constantly changing. And we, like us at Flying V Group, we're staying on top of it as much as we can. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Miranda, thanks for doing this. You did an awesome job. I know, first one. So just want to say props for taking the time to do this with us today and ask us some good
Miranda.
questions for sure.
Yeah. Well, this was fun. I like chatting about all of this. And it's what we do. So
yeah. So what's the plan, Miranda? We'll be here next week, maybe?
Yeah, next week, come back. We'll be here.
All righty. Thanks, Miranda. Thanks, Brennan.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. Bye.